All right, 9 is one of these things that basically what I want you to do is take notes over what I'm telling you, but you're not going to do any tests on this. There's not going to be any questions on this in the final. And so I want to talk about these things, and this is actually going to be really much shorter than the previous two, because I want you to know what they are, but you don't need to focus on these facts that are in this, of course, unless you're going to get certified. So there's going to be the question, what about the actual labs? Do we do these mice? What about these viewing these? No. What I'm telling you is I'm going to talk to you right now about them. You take notes over that, and you turn in the notes. That's the only thing that's going to come from this. So we're going to start off by looking at what a SAN is and what a NAS is. And so SAN stands for Storage Area Network. And so the idea behind this SAN technology is that storage has become much bigger than just stick a hard drive in the server and let the job get done. It's become a situation where we need hundreds, if not thousands, of hard drives storing the information. And so I'll get over in my sketch pad. I need to delete what's in there. Maybe I should just use my so I'll do a new sketch here. Oh, don't save that for sure. All right, so what you would have is, ooh, that was a nice crash. That was a nice crash. Look at that. Okay, so, oh, there it is. Thank you, Autodesk, for crashing. Let's see what happens when I maximize it again. Oh, no crash. All right, so basically you've got your LAN over here. And inside the LAN, you know, I'm not going to draw it out, but you got all your switches and you got all your router that's connecting you to the internet and all your nodes, all your hosts out there. And inside this LAN, there's a server, and that's your storage server that's a part of this LAN. Over here you have your SAN, and that is a storage area network. And it uses different stuff, although it can use the same type. So it could use Ethernet, but usually it's using some kind of fiber optic, and that's what it's using. And so over in this, you have a bunch of storage devices in here. It's just tons of hard drives. I don't know how many you have. You got a lot of them. You got more than 6 is what I'm saying. And then these two are connected right here. And then this is connected to the LAN. So the idea is the server has access to the storage area network and also the LAN. The positive of that is you got all the storage area network stuff going on over here, right? It's all going on over here, and it doesn't affect the LAN. It's just separate from that, right? Further, you can actually have a bunch of servers, and they're all connecting to that storage area network, and they're all connecting to the LAN. And then that way, how much do we need for this server? Or how much do we need for that server? Or how much doesn't matter. We just add it all in here in the storage area network, and then we just tell it what it can access. It separates that problem of I need to take the server down so I can put some more storage in there. No, you just deal with it on the SAN. So that's basically a storage area network, and it provides a lot of good stuff. But we're not going to get into things that are called targets and why they're called a SAN fabric and what a host is and fiber channel and iSCSI and all that stuff. I just want you to take notes on, hey, this is what a SAN is. This is why we use it. So I'm going to really be looking in your notes for why do we use a SAN? What advantages does it give us? I did not want the test. All right, now this is a NAS. A NAS is a network attached storage, and it's not a SAN. It's not a storage area network. It is not what we're seeing here. A NAS would just be another box. Let's make it red, and we'll put it over here. And that NAS is connected into the LAN. And so, actually, let's get rid of my lines, right? And so we've got our servers. I didn't get that. They're all black instead of blue because I didn't push it to blue. But anyway, we've got all of our servers, and then we've got our NAS. So all these are connected to the LAN, and so is the NAS. It's a network attached storage. So this does provide some of the good things that the SAN provided in the fact that it's treated separately from the computers. And we just say, hey, it's out there. But it doesn't offer its own network. And so all of the transfer of data is happening on the actual network. And so a NAS usually has a motherboard. It usually has a NIC in it, network card, and it's usually got a RAID array of some sort, and then minimal network operating system. So usually some version of Linux with just a web interface. Very easy to set up, very easy to deal with. Small to medium-sized businesses are going to use them. Medium-sized to large are going to use SANs. Those are very expensive, but very fast. If you were to go into a server farm, right, server farms is not going to have a NAS, it's going to have a SAN network. And server farms, thousands of servers. All right, so VoIP is voice over IP. So that's just putting your telephone calls through the internet instead of having it go through a standard telephone line. And really what's behind this is telephone stuff was really expensive. And so as soon as they could, they started to attach all of these internet capable phones using IP basically to the network. Like we have Avaya phone systems at EAC, and the thing's just strapped right into the switches, and it saves the college tons and tons of money to do that. I had to put in a standard telephone system, like the ones you see on people's desks that have the buttons and you can transfer calls and all that stuff, for 12 people, and it cost $8,000. A few years later, IP telephony comes out, and basically you just put in a special server, and that costs you like $1,000, and then you buy all the phone equipment for like a few $100s, and now you're doing the same thing that you could have done before. So the voice is transmitted over the network most of the time at layer 2, not over IP. But when it leaves the network, then it goes out over IP. Anyway. All right, virtualization, we get into that in 113. We actually get into it now in 151. And of course, if you take 255, then you get to really mess with virtualization. Now that won't happen again until next spring, but it's a crazy fun class. It's just relaxed, and I give you stuff to do, I talk about it a little bit, and then you go do it. I mean, it's totally different than my other classes where I'm usually talking a lot, and then I just come in and go, what about this? What about that? And try to help you out when you get stuck. But virtualization is the ability to install and run multiple operating systems simultaneously on a single physical machine. And really what's happening out here, if I can, let's look up Blade server. Really what happens is they go out and they buy these Blade servers. So this is all one server right here. But it doesn't really work unless you put it into one of these. So you can see this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, those are sticking out. So it's got a lot, right? And you just basically plug this sucker into the back, and there's a back plane in there that now you can administer them all together. And so you can take any one of these out while everything's still running. It's just fantastic stuff. Now, we don't do Blade servers in my 255 class because, come on, I don't have that kind of money. But this is where usually they're installing the virtual machines. So you can install hundreds of Windows 10, Windows Server, Linux, whatever you're going to install. You can install hundreds of servers on these Blade servers, and they're all running on the same hardware. That's what virtualization does. It enables you to not deal with hardware failures. I mean, that's if you got a problem with one of the blades, you take it out and replace the whole frickin' thing. It's no big deal. If you include SAN networking in that, right, then you're really just trying to keep your communications channels up. And so that's what virtualization does. And that's, I'm not going to go through the details of what this does. It's actually quite small. But if you haven't taken 113, we talk about it in there. If we have, some of this should be familiar because I make you do the chapter on it, right? We use the VirtualBox to access Linux. This kind of virtualization is basically taking tons and tons of hardware and then virtualizing hundreds of operating systems across it. And you can move them, and you can take them down, and you can give them more processing power or less processing power at your whim, whenever you want to do it. So virtualization, it is the thing that's happening. It is how server management is occurring, which is why I teach the 255 class, because I want you to have an edge. So when you go in an interview, you can say, oh, we see that you have virtualization here. What did you do? Because they're expecting you to say, we messed with VirtualBox. That's what they expect. And you're like, oh, well, we did VMware. We used ESXi and set up our own server within it. We partitioned the hard drive. You tell them stuff like that, and they're like, what? What did you do? On top of that, I'm not going to dig into this one, but you can actually virtualize your whole entire network. And that really leads you to cloud computing. So you can not just virtualize, like in the class, we actually do this. You create your Windows 10 that's virtualized on the server. You create a Windows server that's virtualized on the hardware on the server. And then you actually create a virtual switch and you connect the two, and they can talk with each other virtually. Nothing's actually ever sent outside of the server. And that's what you're talking about. And all that now has moved to the cloud. That's what this is referring to. That's why it builds that way. Is that you can actually just virtualize your entire network, and people can actually just come online on their computer, hit some internet site, and there's the whole company network. It doesn't actually even really truly exist where you have it. It's just like, it's getting weird. But that's infrastructure as a service. Clients, processing, storage, networks, virtualized components. Platform as a service is just, I want to deploy something and just give me the space to do it. And then software as a service is what we use all the time. It's like OneDrive, Word Online, Google Docs, Sheets. That's all software as a service. That's really it for this particular unit. That's all we're going to do in 9. So as a reminder, the only thing you need to do for 9 is turn in the notes. You're not going to have to study this stuff. You don't need to do anything in 9. Just turn in the notes for 9 and you're good to go. All right, well, you guys have a good one again, and we'll talk with you later.